For long, Delhi and the NCR have been seen as the hotspot of this menace called pollution. As the winter months set in, the national capital region starts turning into a gas chamber, at least a visible gas chamber at this time of the year. But a recent study suggests that not just the NCR or the northern states are to be blamed for the pollution crisis. An analysis by researchers at the Center for Research on Energy and Clean Air reveals that 60% of India breathes toxic air. Let that sink in. 60% of India breathes toxic air. The study says that the air is more than half of the country's district reaches the annual PM 2.5 standard. What's worse, not a single district in India meets the air quality standard set by WHO. A deep dive into the study shows that Delhi tops that list, no prizes for guessing that, of the most polluted states and union territories in the country. In fact, the pollution hotspots are concentrated, and this figure will shock you a little bit, in northern and eastern states, 11 districts across Delhi, and Assam, yes, Assam, failed to meet the national PM 2.5 standards. The particulate matter 2.5, remember, that goes directly in your streams, in your bloodstreams. You can't fight it, there is no defense. Once it goes in, the damage is permanent. Now, these 11 districts in Delhi and Assam that we spoke about are followed by Bihar and Haryana, with 7 districts each there. Uttar Pradesh, 4 districts there as well. On the other hand, states in the south and those along the coastal regions breathe much cleaner air, with Mumbai being an exception. But one city, like we said, that enjoys the advantage of being situated close to the sea, yet still breathes toxic air, is Mumbai. The AQI in the financial capital has been shooting up, forcing authorities to crack down. With the AQI in parts of Mumbai now breaching the 300 mark, there is now a possibility that GRAP Stage 4 could be implemented to tackle the pollution. What's grade 4? Remember, not even applied in Delhi. Huge debate about it because odd and even will kick in, schools will shut down, offices will go work from home, and the whole shebang, right? That is being considered in Mumbai. Meanwhile, in Delhi, where the air quality remains in very poor to severe levels, if you believe the government monitoring system at least, someone thought it is a great idea to start a hot balloon ride. Those are the pictures on your screen. As part of the DDA's push to provide more adventure options to public, this activity will begin in the capital starting the 29th of November. And guess who was part of the hot air balloon ride, the trial run there? The LG is there flagging it off himself. Of course, he's wearing no mask. So that's the story. Not just Delhi, not just Mumbai. 60% of the country is now breathing toxic air, and our politicians, people who are responsible to clean it, clearly don't care. Moving on to more updates on someone who does seem to care about the Delhi air pollution. Chief Justice of India, Surikant, has expressed a concern over Delhi's pollution. He says, and I quote over there, that facing breathing problems after going for regular walks due to pollution. The Chief Justice of India has also suggested that if Bar Association agrees, they should move the Supreme Court hearings to virtual mode. The court may consider creating a uniform rule based on this. That would be a big development coming in from the Supreme Court, because if they take the step, the country will follow. Huge one coming in. One of the first statements we've heard from the newly appointed CGI. Remember, he took office just yesterday, and one of the first things he has spoken about is Delhi's air pollution, and saying that if the Bar Association, basically the lawyers, agree, they would like to move it virtual, meaning it will be work from home for at least the Supreme Court of India. All right, so that's a big development coming in there. We'll keep our eye on that story to see how the Bar Association actually responds to this and what happens to this story. I'm told my colleague Anisha Mathur is with us. Quickly want to get an update from her. Anisha, this has to be a big statement coming in from CGI who's not even spent 24 hours in office, and he chooses to speak about the first issue, it is pollution, and he's practically saying, let's move it virtual, let people stay at home, let them not come out on the streets, use their cars, create more combustion on the roads, but work from home.
Well, Sonal, let me just clarify. This was a comment made by the Chief Justice in response to a request specifically made by very senior lawyers. Senior advocates who are over 70 years old, including Senior Advocate Kapil Sibbal, Rakesh Dwivedi, all of them said that given our advanced age, given the fact that all of us are suffering from congestion, from coughs, they requested, in fact, the Supreme Court that you could consider moving court hearings to virtual mode, and if not for everybody else, then at least allow everyone over 60 years of age to appear before court on a virtual mode. That is why the Supreme Court has now said that we will consider it. In fact, just last week, Justice P.S. Narasimha, who will be taking over as Chief Justice of India in 2030, also suggested that lawyers could consider appearing on virtual mode before the Supreme Court. Just yesterday also, hours after Justice Surikant took oath, one of the senior lawyers appearing before the court pointed out that he was facing a problem breathing. And even yesterday, same comment coming in from the Chief Justice of India, that even when I'm going for walks, I'm also feeling breathless. There is a problem. And remember, Sonal, the Supreme Court has been talking about air pollution in the country for years now. We've been seeing
Anisha, and yet there was a full walkathon that was flagged off by the former CGI and the heads of the Bar Association, who are now being asked to consider. Yet in 400 AQI, they did that walkathon. So one really has to question that what will it take for people to take notice? It's good that they are, but what will it take for them to, take notice till the time their own health is impacted? Perhaps that's what we're looking at. But thanks so much for bringing us those details over there. Let's take the story forward now. And we've been talking about how constantly here on the program that it is not a Delhi problem. It is in fact not even a Mumbai problem. It is 60% of the country's problem. Yet, who cares really, right? But one person who seems to, let me bring her on the program. Aditi Mittal, she's a comedian and actress. She joins us now in a rather smoky avatar, Aditi.
I'm so sorry, I left the window open this morning. It'll clear out by next year.
Or perhaps when the wind gods have their way. Next year, kyun, Aditi? Aise kaise ho jayega?
So, I never thought I would miss Mumbai rains, but here we are.
Aditi, it's such a pleasure talking to you all the time, but it leaves me laughing and crying at the same time. We've spoken about various urban issues on this program so many times, but when it comes to air pollution, are you as shocked as I am that the Mumbai versus Delhi debate is now moving to air pollution? These two cities, your and my city, are now, fighting it out for who has the worst air.
Jeev, as a Mumbaikar, let me tell you, anything that Delhi can do, Mumbai can do better. In Delhi, you all call it smog. In Mumbai, it's an Instagram filter.
Instagram filter, which will only take your life, no? Nothing else? Just shorten your life, make you dumber, and perhaps, clog all your lungs, clog all your arteries, just make you really weak. Kids of an entire generation will be born defunct. Just that much it does, no?
Gee, I mean, the cost of human life in India.
But jokes apart, Aditi, why do you think it has taken so long for even people to realize this? Today is one of those days, I must highlight, where we've seen a series of comments come in. We've seen the Supreme Court react. We've seen the Prime Minister's office just yesterday take note for the first time on the issue of pollution and say, let's get more EVs on the road. We'll talk about that also in a bit. But when you and I don't know if you've noticed, when I'm walking on the road, I barely see people with masks on. Why? One of the reasons perhaps why politicians are not taking note is because maybe people also don't care. They haven't woken up to the reality of air pollution. Is that true?
Gee, blaming people for not wearing masks as being a part of the problem is like saying the AQI meters are the cause for air pollution. Our governments have known about this long enough that they've been spraying and manipulating numbers. And so people not wearing masks is a very small part of the problem, though, of course, we should be wearing masks. But the action on this should have been taken even 2 years ago when Delhi was suffering through this, and this should have been a point of contention for governments across the country 5 years ago. So the fact that they've woken up today, yay. Morning walk used to be dangerous for judges for different reasons. And now, it's good old air pollution.
Different reasons over there. Let's not go there. That's a discussion for another day. But Aditi, I've often wondered what it takes for a country to really unite on issues. For example, when it came to the dog menace and street dogs, we saw the entire nation come together. We saw lobbying to the degree, voices being made heard to the degree that even Supreme Court had to overturn its own verdict. Why do you think air pollution, which has far wider impact on your and my health, and especially those of our kids, why do you think on an issue like this, we are not being able to come together?
Sonal, I think that, there's a large mass of us that are struggling to make a living. And having fresh air was really not a part of the contract when you can't even make a living or even have enough food to eat. And so I understand where this comes from. But as I said, even if we do come out to protest, will they even see us? The smog will cover all our placards. And where will we stand to do this protest?
No, protests are happening, detentions are also happening, but there's a controversy there as well.
Of course.
But, this is where it gets me to Aditi, maybe because we have not been able to put pollution and our own health at the center. I think as a country, we don't prioritize health. We prioritize wealth, but we don't prioritize health.
I think we've all been brought up with the idea that if we can spend enough money, we can separate ourselves from India. We can get into our gated communities. We can, buy fancier cars. But the problem is we are still stuck breathing the same air as everyone else. And which is why, there has been that kerfuffle. Even the Mumbai municipality has announced some actions to be taken within the next 48 hours if conditions remain terrible. So I think we're at a tipping point. If that tipping point would make some of these people money, that would be great. But unfortunately, it's our breath we're fighting for right now.
Last question before I let you go, Aditi. Last time we met, you had a certain comment for the Chief Minister of Maharashtra. I called him Mr. Fadnavis, you called him something else. I want to know if this time around for your air, for every breath that should be fresh, should be pure, should be clean in Mumbai and rest of the country, if you have a message for your Chief Minister and perhaps the Prime Minister as well.
My message to all our ministers is, especially our Chief Minister, is that please don't allow more deforestation, because where else then will Mrs. Fadnavis shoot her music videos? We need the greenery for art.
All right. Without any comments to that one, I'm gonna thank Aditi Mittal for joining us and, as always, trying to make a point front, and center about why we should all be really caring about air pollution. Thanks so much, Aditi, for joining us. But it's not just celebrities. Another voice came to the fore today, and she has now written to the Prime Minister saying only he can find a solution to pollution. She is, of course, Dr. Kiran Bedi. She joins me now. Ma'am, thank you so much for being with us here on the program. My first question really is, why now? Why did you think it was the time that the Prime Minister step in and find a solution for pollution?
Because it's requiring it. It's the need of the hour. We can't delay it anymore. At the moment, we need a very effective leadership to coordinate and make everybody collaborate. So this is the need of the hour. It's almost a similar time as COVID times. And having seen our Honorable Prime Minister delivered so well during the COVID time when it was affecting every one of us. How he made us recover, work together, different factions, but how he closely monitored everything and got the results, which brought us glory. I think that's when so now I think I probably is becoming intolerant because it's the first time I'm also not walking in the evenings. I'm not out in the evenings for morning walks. I think I'm suffering immediately today because I am no more able to enjoy the November winter. I'm no more able to enjoy the sunshine of November. No more. I'm directly felt impacted. And I said, how can I live on? Can I go away from here? I can't. I have ecosystems here. All of us have ecosystems. Everybody can't go away to Goa or the hills. So therefore, I thought, what could be the solution? Because it's only declining, we're tolerating it from year to year. Who could be the right way? And I suddenly realized, why is the Prime Minister not leading the charge? Leading the charge the way he dealt with COVID. And COVID situation is the same. And I've seen the way he led the charge in Swachh Bharat. He led the charge on water Jalsanal. Every time he's taken up a cause, it's delivered. He used to have, during my time learning in Pondicherry, he was closely monitoring everything. Everything was geotagged. The toilets were geotagged, the houses were geotagged to see whether they delivered, and all the chief secretaries and the chief ministers to come on a Zoom on a regular basis. Everybody was made accountable. So here is need for accountability, need for collaboration. We have a commission for air management, but the question is the commission is not politically led by heavyweight.
Yep.
I think whether it's a prime minister or he appoints a group of ministers and who lead the charge, as long as it's the cabinet ministers directly, and they would obviously take the matter to the cabinet when it's, and I would suggest a group of ministers which must have the union home minister in it, because this enforcement, this air quality management group commission demands a lot of enforcement. So how will you enforce?
Yeah.
How will you enforce if you don't have the police with you? So I think it's I've seen that the commission itself has been making its recommendation that the enforcement needs to be strengthened. Now, in what all ways it needs to be strengthened? So it's been issuing only advisories. I've noticed it's been issuing advisories, etc., etc. But I think it's a serious matter of enforcement. But it's also prevention. It's also planning over a period. It may not go away with the Prime Minister's leadership and the group of ministers leading. It may not go away, but it will start finding the right way to move. It's a decline. It should be a decline of the decline. It's a decline of the decline.
Right. Ma'am, but the opposition has been very clear on this. They are saying there is clear political blame game here. As long as Arvind Kejriwal was in power, there were a lot of questions on why Delhi can't handle its hair. Then there were questions on neighboring states as well. But the opposition today is saying the PM is yours, the CM is yours, the mayor is yours, the LG is yours. Now what is stopping BJP from actually bringing out some solutions apart from just raising the issue?
Look, I think we've gone through a very disjointed period of Delhi was really out of control in many ways, in many, many forms. So I think at the moment there's no reason. There can be a cohesion, there can be a collaboration with all these neighboring states. And I believe it's got more than 24 adjoining districts involving UP, Rajasthan, Delhi, Haryana, Punjab. Look, this requires political heavyweight. It's political decision making. But it's going back to worse. I don't know why we didn't step up earlier, but it's never late for the Prime Minister's office to step in. But I think, and I remember when Prime Minister was addressing the rallies, he talked about this called Apada. He called it an Apada.
Right. Ma'am, he did call it. You're right. He did call it an Apada. But I have to ask you this. Back in 2017, I remember when we were still talking about the pollution issue, we asked you that shouldn't the Prime Minister intervene because air has no boundaries of states or otherwise. It's one for all. And back then you had said that why does everything need to land up at the Prime Minister's doorstep? What's making you change your own statement now?
Absolutely. I think it's now becoming a desperate situation. It was just too desperate. It has got over. It's like getting drowned in it. Now it's like sinking in it. Now it's a situation that we are sinking in it. And that's when it came back to me. Oh, I've seen the most effective leadership. I've seen coordination. I've seen how things can get done. I can see accountability. But there's one man who can get it. He and his team. So he leads and makes a team and makes them accountable and does once a month accountability. See, there's a big difference between 2017 and now 2025. It's 8 years down the line. So I think for me, it was for the first time, I'm also looking for an air purifier. But the point is, can I remain captive in my house with an air purifier? I'm a regular evening walker. I cannot walk. I cannot go walking. I did not, maybe in 17, I was walking Pondicherry Beach and I never felt the bite of it, what was happening because I was not a Delhi resident. 2017, I was not Delhi resident. I became a Delhi resident only last 3 years. Okay. I returned from Pondicherry last 2.5 years. So I felt the bite now. I never felt the bite in Pondicherry. By the way, an outsider cannot feel the bite as much as I'm feeling now. So I think I had to be a sufferer, a victim to get the pinch.
You might have been an outsider, but the Prime Minister, the Chief Minister, all the heads of states, they have never been outsiders to Delhi, and we really wonder why it's not shaking them enough. India's Test cricket is in middle of its biggest identity crisis in a decade. And at the center of the storm sits one man, Gautam Gambhir. The Gambhir situation, as fans have now started calling it, it didn't erupt overnight. It's the slow burn of bad results, battered egos, and a home fortress collapsing brick by brick. Under Gambhir's tenure, India hasn't just lost tests, they have been whitewashed at home. First New Zealand, now South Africa. Something that once felt unthinkable has become the new headline. From foreign boards trolling India's slide to former players now demanding accountability, the criticism is loud, it's relentless, and it's very, very public. But this isn't just about scorecards, right? It's about selections that baffled experts, all-rounders over specialists, musical chairs battling order, hyper-aggressive pitch calls that boomerang spectacularly at least. Add to that the uncomfortable chatter. Did the atmosphere under Gambhir accelerate the test retirements of giants like Kohli, like Rohit and Ashwin? India suddenly looks like a team in transition without a transition plan. The backlash is raw. Words like arrogant, rigid, unapproachable are being thrown around. And yet, in typical Gambhir fashion, he's taken the heat head on. Blame starts with me, he said today. He keeps repeating that, in fact, while reminding critics not to forget his white ball successes. Supporters like Suresh Raina say players must take responsibility too. The dressing room debate is now officially out in the open. So here we are, a wounded team, a furious fan base, legends exiting, test cricket wobbling, and a head coach fighting for both credibility and control. The BCCI has now a decision to make, and the country is watching. Call it what you want. A crisis, a reckoning, but for Indian cricket, this is a Gambhir situation. Nikhil Nas is here with us in the studio. Nikhil, I have to just hit the nail on the head right now and ask you this. All these conversations about Gautam Gambhir being India's worst test coach in 25 years, some are saying he's even worse than Greg Chappell. Do you agree?
It's tough to argue with the stats that we have in front of us, Sonal. Just to put it into context, in the history of Indian cricket, you have only been whitewashed 3 times in, as I said, the entire history of Indian cricket. Only 3 times at home this has happened. Unfortunately for the Indian team, 2 of those occasions have happened in the last 12 months while Gautam has been the coach. Of course, you've had the captain change. You had Rohit Sharma in the previous whitewash, and in this particular whitewash, you've had a combination of Rishabh Pant and Shubman Gill. But unfortunately, the coach is the same in those 2 occasions that you've had. The last time India were whitewashed at home, again I'm putting it into context, there was nothing called social media. You have a Prime Minister now into his third term. He wasn't even the Chief Minister of Gujarat at the time when India was last time whitewashed on home turf. In these times, my mind goes back to someone like Steve Waugh. People will remember him as one of the greatest captains ever to have played the sport. I remember majority of my career as a cricket reporter, Steve Waugh used to keep harping about one fact, that his ultimate dream was to conquer the final frontier. You know what the final frontier was? To win a test series in India, because that was considered impossible. Here's a captain of Australia that had won everywhere on the planet, who had won World Cups as well, yet his only desire was to win that one single series in India. Unfortunately for him, he retired without having fulfilled his dream. This I'm telling our viewers so that they know how tough it was to win a series at home. And now you've lost two back-to-back series. You've of course had a win in the middle versus West Indies, but two back-to-back series where you've been whitewashed completely. Not a single draw on those occasions. So I think if this isn't the lowest point in Indian cricket, then I don't know what is. And probably the guardians of the game, the custodians of the game, that is the BCCI, will have to put their heads together and come up with a solution if they want to stem the flow of such disappointing performances that we've seen in the recent past.
Right. Nikhil there, not mincing his words at all. I'm also joined by Rajdeep Sardesai now. Great passion for cricket. He's smiling, but I'm sure it's not because of India's performance at this time. But I have to ask you, sir, exactly what I asked Nikhil. Is this the worst performing Indian test coach that we have seen? Even worse than Greg Chappell?
You know, I'm going to be very cautious about blaming an individual here. I think there is something seriously wrong with Indian test cricket. I think that's where it starts. You can sack Gautam Gambhir. It's not going to change the fortunes of this team overnight. The fact is, Sonal, Indian cricket is now only about white ball and about IPL. It's about bringing in the crowds for these short, limited overs formats. 5-day cricket is being lost because our skills at 5-day cricket are being lost because of this obsession with who will be sold for how many crores at IPL auctions. So Gautam Gambhir is not, when your patient is on ventilator, can you really make him recover by simply changing the doctor? I don't think so. This goes beyond Gautam Gambhir. This goes to the heart of what is structurally wrong with the way Indian cricket is organized.
Nikhil is not convinced by what you're saying, sir. Nikhil is not convinced.
Is Nikhil telling me today that he wants Gautam Gambhir sacked and the team's fortunes will be revived? I don't agree. Yes, Gautam Gambhir needs to be made more accountable, as do several others as well. What is the role of the selectors? What is the role of the BCCI? What made you go and play some foolish ODI 3 matches in Australia and then bring the same players back to play on a turning wicket at Kolkata just a few days later? Who organizes these tours and this calendar? These are the things that we should be looking at. What importance do you give Ranji Trophy? Why do you have teams against, on perfect batting wickets where they score 600 runs but cannot even score 200 in a proper match against a test side? The entire structure of Indian cricket is geared, I repeat, towards only the IPL now. And you're even selecting teams based on their IPL.
But sir, that's the criticism against Gautam Gambhir. He's been criticized for picking up very IPL-style cricketers even for test cricket. That's his vision that's been questioned. But I'll let Nikhil come in with a question now. Nikhil.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Rajdeep, I don't think it's fair to look at the IPL. IPL's in the 18th season. You've played 2 WTC finals. You've been the #1 test team during that same phase. The biggest difference that we've seen in the last 12 months, I go back to the time that Rohit Sharma was captain. I go back to the time where Virat Kohli was captain. Your best bowlers played for the team. Your best spinner played for the team. That is a decision that is not, at a macro level, that is wrong with Indian cricket. Indian cricket was still producing good enough players to win in test match cricket. It has only happened in the last 12 months where you've now begun to take players from the IPL into the test team. That's not to say that players are not playing Ranji Trophy cricket. I can name 4 players right now that have been playing Ranji Trophy cricket and have been getting runs non-stop for years. But the fact of the matter is that they are not in your team. Mohammad Shami is playing Ranji Trophy. He's fit. He's saying he's a match winner. He's a proven match winner. He doesn't get into the team. There are multiple spinners. You had a Ravichandran Ashwin, who is your #1 off spinner. He retired shortly. Do you know why? Because there was a point under this regime in Australia where you were playing Washington Sundar ahead of Ravichandran Ashwin. Why? Because you play a bowler who can get you some sort of runs. Do you know Washington Sundar plays the IPL? He's not even a bowler in his IPL franchise. He plays as a pure batter. The one who's won South Africa test match is Simon Harmer. He's playing test cricket. Why? Not because he can get runs. He's the best off spinner in South Africa. Are you playing your best off spinner in your 11? That is the question that the management needs to answer. There's nothing wrong with IPL. There's nothing wrong with having specialists who play T20 cricket. You bought in a Nitish Kumar Reddy who has an average of 20 in first class cricket, in red ball cricket. You have paratrooped him and he plays test match cricket. Somebody like a Sarfraz with a 67 average sits out. Sheikh Rashid is another player who's getting runs, sits out. You don't look at him. Baba Aprijit is another player who gets runs. You don't pick him. Why? Because you need players from white ball. I am telling you, I can name 4 players that have come into this Indian team in the last few months basis IPL performance. So IPL is not the problem. The problem is the people who are picking these players to come and play. The structure of Indian cricket is healthy. It will continue to produce match-winning players in test match cricket. You can be the best test team on the planet. You were a short while ago. The problem is you changed your mantra. Your best test teams in the world. New Zealand have won WTC. Do they play bits and pieces cricketer? No. After that, Australia won the WTC. Nathan Lyon is the best off spinner. He plays for Australia. If Nathan Lyon was an Indian, he wouldn't play because he cannot contribute with the bat. Today, South Africa are the best team in the world. Temba Bavuma is a test specialist. He plays. He does not play IPL. He doesn't play anything. That's why they have him as captain.
Nikhil's
but we will make our captains
feeling very, very passionate about it. I'll quickly let Rajdeep respond to that.
No, Nikhil, we are not. No, we are not disagreeing with each other. All I am saying, the way you and I are on the same page, I am also saying, if you are going to make IPL the criteria for selecting a test team, and please understand the selector, Gautam Gambhir is not the sole selector. There are selectors or not in this team. There is Ajit Agarkar and team for selecting the team. What is the reason why they are being, why has the criteria changed? That you are choosing people like I don't want to name individuals because the entire team flopped, but the fact is you are choosing people on their IPL form and you're not choosing, you are not creating the basis for a test team. Let's also be clear. In the last few years, you've lost 5 legendary cricketers who would have walked into most Indian teams in any era. Ajinkya Rahane, Chiteshwar
Why is that?
Pujara,
That's
Virat
also
Kohli,
been
Rohit
said.
Sharma,
That's
and
also
R.
been
Ashwin.
said in murmurs that it's because of Gautam Gambhir. Am I correct, Nikhil?
That's correct. And also just to go back in the
murmurs,
selection, he talks about Ajit Agarkar, who was the selector from 2023. Rajdeep, you've played a WTC final from there. The same chairman of selector has been there for 2 years. Why is it in the last 12 months have you changed a big shift?
Are you telling me that Gautam Gambhir is the one selecting the Indian team?
I
Is that
don't
what
know.
you're saying?
I think
are you telling me that all these players left? No, 1 minute. Are you telling me that all these greats of the game left because of Gautam Gambhir? Say it. If you have information that they left because of Gautam Gambhir, then certainly Gautam Gambhir needs to be held accountable. I agree with you. But the fact is, let the BCCI, you see the problem is BCCI is non-transparent. BCCI does not tell me why players are selected, how is the, who is deciding who should play which match, how is the wicket to be prepared, who is giving instructions to the curator as they gave in Kolkata. If all of this is being done by Gautam Gambhir, then the blame lies at Gautam Gambhir's door. I agree with you. However, if this is not just an individual but a system at fault, then I'm sorry, sacking Gautam Gambhir is not going to solve Indian cricket's problem. There are wider problems in the way Indian cricket now treats test matches. I am convinced about that. You're saying that a couple of years ago, this same team was winning, or many of these players were winning. I take your point. Just a couple of months ago, you put a front page cover story of India Today, calling it Gen Next, because they had drawn a series with England. Why were you over exuberant then? The reality on the ground is we should be clear. There is something seriously wrong in the way we have now divided Test cricket and IPL. All the attention, all the money, all the focus is on the IPL.
It's not just what Nikhil is saying, sir. This is not just that. even former cricketers. And I'd like our producers to pop up the tweets of Venkatesh Prasad as well. He's gone on record, he's tweeted this pretty categorically, saying that the all-round obsession is absolute brain fade, especially when you don't bowl them.
Agreed.
Really disappointed to see how India is going about its test cricket. Rank poor tactics, poor skills, poor body language, and an unprecedented two-series whitewash. He goes on to state a lot of reasons, all of they've, in some way linked to bad coaching.
Sonal, please tell me. 3 months ago, I'm asking, we are in November, in August, cover story of India today, hailing India's generation next for a 2-2 drawn series with England. Many of the same players. Nikhil Naz also among others, praising this team at the time. What happened then? Suddenly everything is wrong with Indian cricket. I am saying, whether you like it or not, sacking individuals is not going to dramatically change the fortunes unless you are going to change the way Indian cricket is structured. This has been a catastrophe in the making for a while now. This is my belief. The fact that these senior cricketers unfortunately also left, and if they've left because of the coach, we have the right to know that as fans and pundits. If that is the reason,
you want to respond? Yeah. Is it because Virat Kohli? Is it because Gautam Gambhir has his own baggage of sorts?
No.
He comes with this image issue.
No, I'm not going to speculate there that did they leave because there was Gautam Gambhir. I know that, with the statements that have come out from both Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, that they decided to leave Test cricket, and nobody can really force you to retire from Test cricket. But I can say with a great degree of certainty that yet they were nudged. And I'll agree there that there were months on from there. There was a time where the performances weren't coming from both a Rohit Sharma or a Virat Kohli. And so if the selectors had a conversation, if the coach had a conversation with them, that's absolutely fine. I go back to that story that Rajdeep mentions. I wrote that cover story for the magazine. And why I wrote that story is because this team, because 3 of your stalwarts had left, this team, nobody had given them a chance to go on and play in England, and they did well. But you have to see, you have to see it in context, Rajdeep. You played an English team that is absolutely getting hammered by Australia. Are we to be happy competing with an English team which in itself has never played a WTC final? Or are you the #1 team in the world as you claim it to be? I would like this Indian team to be there because this Indian team was certainly there. Of course, I'll go back to Rajdeep. He reminds me of what things that were being pointed out there. Rajdeep was the biggest critic at that time of saying that why is it Kuldeep Yadav not playing? So it's not that what India was doing in England, everything that they were doing was right. Boss. But they escaped with a 2-2 draw. The fact of the matter is the cookie had to crumble at some point, Rajdeep. The signs were there from Australia onwards. Were you playing bits and pieces cricketer? You got hammered 3-1. India had won 2 series in Australia.
The difference is I have been a consistent critic. I am not changing when we draw, or as you rightly said, escaped with a draw in England and call them that India's generation next has arrived. I never said India's generation next has arrived at any stage. In fact, I believe he would have won in England if he had played Kuldeep Yadav. I do believe that there are selection flaws. I take all that, but please understand, a year ago, with Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli in the team, with Ashwin in the team, you lost 3-0 to New Zealand in India. There is something seriously wrong when your players don't practice on turning wickets. They don't play on the kind of wickets that you're giving them in test matches. I maintain there is now an obsession. In 2 weeks' time, there is an IPL auction. This will be forgotten. And everybody will be talking only about which player has got the maximum money in the auction. That's not how you build a test team. Test teams have to be built by realizing that red ball cricket is very different to white ball cricket. We are the best white ball team in the world. We are not the best red ball team in the world. And for that, you need to invest in the way your structure is prepared. Have an elite structure of only 10 teams who play 4-day cricket. Make them play 3 or 4 times with each other. See who performs best. Have a system of promotion, demotion. Change the way the Ranji Trophy is played. Make sure that many of these players play in those tournaments. Prepare wickets of the kind that will be played in Test cricket. Are you willing to do any of that? That requires imagination and vision.
How is that going to help?
Nobody in this board who has any vision.
10 teams, you can have structures. You're still going to pick players based on IPL. How is that going to help? You can have tier system, 10 teams play. The ones who get the runs there, the ones who pick wickets there, won't get a chance to play in the test team. Your test team will come from IPL. My point is, you said, what is it the management could have done? They don't take seriously. You spoke about that Australia series that I'm talking about. What stopped an Indian team? If I'm part of that Indian team management, why do I need my players to be playing that bilateral series?
Agreed.
I, as a coach, would have had, or as a management would have the full authority to say, I don't need X, Y, Z. They're part of my test team. Please send them back and let them prepare for the red ball thing. No, but we took that seriously. We in fact celebrated. We celebrated the T20 series win, and then we also said, why are we celebrating that one ODI that we won? That means you are taking that seriously, far more seriously than this series. Australia was playing that series, they let their players go play.
And since now we have Rajdeep and Nikhil agree on something, I think it's good time to take a break. I think the anger and the emotions that are being felt here on the program are that of every Indian fan. And I think that's why this calling for so much of anger and speculation on what's going wrong. Why can't we fix this? But clearly we can't fix it here in the studio. We're only hoping that BCCI is listening in. And the next one
should be a BCCI report team, and Nikhil and I should be part of that panel.
Done, sir. We'll make an uncut out of this, tag BCCI and send it to them and say, are you listening? From the best, pundits of cricket coming in for you. On that note, thank you so much, both of you, for joining us here on 5 Live. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.